an hour from now, Prime Minister Modi will arrive at the National Library and kickstart the celebrations of the Parakram Diwas, and Mamata Banerjee too marked the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji by calling it Desh Nayak Diwas. And while paying tribute to Netaji, she also attacked the centre and appropriated the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as well. Joining me on this broadcast is our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor. Along with that, we have our guests that are also joining us live, Ratan Sharda. Along with that, we also have another guest joining us, that is Subir Bhaumik, who's a senior journalist, and Ratan Sharda, who's a political analyst. Going across to Abhishek first. Abhishek, we have seen as to how there is a legacy war that is going on as far as West Bengal is concerned. And today being the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, what is the significance of Netaji at this juncture for West Bengal and as well as the entire country? And why now more than ever it is important to remember or maybe even rewrite our history?
There are two aspects of it. A, of course, Netaji's personality, a visionary, a statesman, who gave a military strategic mind to India to understand, someone who involved women in the army back in those days, and then someone who is understood mass communication and used radio to reach people across the country to get them to act against the British at that time and have a rebellion in the country. And then, of course, his diplomacy, traveling around the world, getting people to support him, getting top leaders of the world at that time to support him, particularly from Germany and Japan. So all those aspects of Netaji's legacy. And then there is the political aspect, which we were discussing. Richa and my guests can join in on that. The fact that Netaji is someone who has not been given a Bharat Ratna yet, while Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was given in his lifetime. And that difference we saw in bestowing of Bharat Ratna to even Sardar Patel, who was given in 1991, and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Ratan Sharda, if I could come to you on that. There is a demand that Bharat Ratna be given to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. While the family makes some objections because they think that Bharat Ratna has got too politicized, but then giving Bharat Ratna does make a statement. Ratan Sharda.
See, I would not take the question the way you put it, because to me the question is not whether Netaji was given Bharat Ratna or not. To me the question is that why Netaji did not get his due for last 70 years since independence of India. He was hounded out of Congress. He fought the national independence struggle from outside. He turned around the entire world community to support India. With that kind of great bravery and courage, he showed that Congress should have, put down his role in independence struggle through all the history books and the entire narrative is something we should be ashamed of. Now, to call it, taking away the legacy or legacy war, if he had a legacy which had been properly put in perspective from the first day of this country, Independence Day, we would not be doing this kind of debate. Why there should be any fight for legacy? He is one of the brightest sons of Bharat, and that is what we should remember. Now that BJP has given it due importance, we are playing politics. Why Mamata Banerjee in 10 years of her tenure never thought of having a Desh Nayak birthday or any other celebration? Why it took 2019 for Modi ji to invite INA soldiers into the Republic Day parade? So these are the questions we should ask. Apart from people like Anuj Dhar or Chandrachud Singh, and there is a recent book by Mr. Kalyan there about Netaji's role in independence, which clearly shows that British actually were really afraid of the trial of INA, which led to rebellion in naval mutiny and also in Jabalpur. And they thought this enough, we have to leave. We are still singing songs only of, Bina Khadak Bina Dhal, we got the independence. So this false narrative has to change. But giving Bharat Ratna is something that can be done or cannot be done, but point is, first of all, he should get a due place in history, whether it's TMC, Congress, BJP, that is not the question. It is just incidental that Mr. Modi gave him the due place that was due to him for a long time. So this unseemly war and the kind of words being used, legacy war, etc., I don't like it at all. It's an insult to the great son of India.
Absolutely. Stay with us, Ratan Sharda. We'll also go across to Subir Bhaumik now. Subir, while politics set aside, there is a going chatter of demand for a Bharat Ratna for Netaji as well. But at the same time, a rewriting of the history as well? Because remember, today, while addressing a rally, Mamta Banerjee also highlighted the fact that while we do know when was the beginning of Netaji, but we still do not know what really happened in those last days of his life.
Well, let me tell you something very quickly. I'm very happy that the way Ratan Sharda actually put it. You know, what is Netaji's legacy? Netaji's legacy, of course, he is larger than life. But Netaji's legacy is the legacy of the Bengal revolutionary line, which from the very beginning of the last century believed in fomenting a rebellion within the British Indian Army. Because the Bengal revolutionary leaders like Rash Bihari Bose, from whom Subhash Bose took up the mantle of the Indian National Army, which had already been formed, and the Indian Independence League, was that instead of this Gandhian type mass movement, now I'm not trying to decry this. That's one way of doing it. But Netaji's line and the Bengal line of revolutionary movement was the second front of Indian independence, which is ek sipahi mutiny or karwa or Angrez bhagenge. And that is exactly, as Ratan rightly said, that happened. Now here, it is extremely unfortunate that these tutu mama, these politicians are fighting, I married on 23rd
even as
January.
we speak right now, we're getting in the first visual on the screen right now of the Prime Minister, who has just now landed to kickstart the celebrations of the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. These are the latest visuals on the screen right now of Prime Minister landing as well to observe the Parakram Diwas, and as they have day-long celebrations lined up ahead, and he will be in Kolkata for the same. If you can continue with your point as well, sir.
Right. So this is the legacy. I mean, what has to be acknowledged? Obviously, Netaji's role, but also that this Bengal revolutionary line of trying to foment a rebellion, a sepoy mutiny, starts from Rash Bihari Bose, Jatin Mukherjee during the First World War, and then, of course, the Gadar people also come in. So that's something that has to be recognized by Indian historiography, that the Gandhi-Nehru line of non-violent struggle was not just the only way that Indians fought for independence. There were scores of people in Andaman jail, my grandfather included, and there were scores of people from Punjab, Bengal, and other provinces of India who were in Andamans. There were scores of people who were hanged because they attacked the British. So, this non-violent struggle, non-violence का ढोल बहुत ज़्यादा बज चुका है, और उसके लिए अंग्रेज नहीं भागे इस मुल्क से. As many studies have shown, even Michael Edward is the British historian, has said that the ghost of Bose haunted the British rulers in the last days of British rule. Why did they leave India? So that's number one. Number two, the point I want to make, I want declassification of the entire Netaji file. A good step has been taken. Mamta's government here has declassified some of the files. Modi government in Delhi has done it. It's a good thing that both these people, the Trinamool people here and the BJP people in Delhi, have finally given certain level of recognition to the legacy of Bose, to the Azadin Fauj, and to everybody else, which the Congress has not done for so many long years. Now, point here is, the point that you were trying to raise, that Mamta also raised, that last days of Bose is not known. It's important to know the files. Now, some logic is given by some diplomats that it may affect our relations with some foreign country. Nonsense. 70 years pehle, what had happened will affect our relations with somebody. What Stalin had decided, will that affect our relation with Mr. Putin? Or what Roosevelt had done, let us say at that point, at Churchill, will it affect our relation with British and America now? No, that's not a logic. So I demand, as a Bose enthusiast, as a follower, because I married on 23rd January, not on the advice of a Brahmin, but because it is the, today is my marriage anniversary. So passions run high. This should come out, that what happened to him in his last days, and what happened really, because this plane crash theory, most people don't believe. The third thing I'll try to make is political parties should stay away from this, because at the end of the day, if any political party thinks they can cash in on Bose legacy and win a few votes in Bengal, they're absolutely wrong. Bengalis are not fools. They're not going to vote for somebody because they have done something on Bose. They are going to vote here in days to come on the basis of the performance or the non-performance of the existing government. And the promises made by the challengers. So present issue is present. The present political issues, and Bengalis are not fools. They're intensely political people. That आपने सुभाष बोस लेके कोई ड्रामा कर दिया तो आपको हम वोट दे देंगे, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है. Anybody thinks, कि ऐसा होगा, नहीं होगा. So let's keep Bose out of this. Tu me and all this nonsense. The Desh Nayak versus Parakram debate and all this is unfortunate. Yeah, there's nothing. What is in the expression? What is in the word? Nothing. And the biggest respect that we can pay to Subhash Chandra Bose is to follow his legacy of inclusive Indian nationalism. I'm insisting, no divisiveness. We face China today. It's a homogeneous country with an inclusive nationalism.
Right.
We cannot afford any division or any divisiveness in our society on the basis of caste, creed, religion. The real legacy of Bose is inclusive Indian nationalism.
In fact, Ratan Sharda, another question for you. While we had the family members of Netaji earlier this afternoon on our show as well, and they spoke about how for them Bharat Ratna at this stage is not of importance, but declassifying those classified files is what is important. Well, at the same time, they also spoke about, for them, all this politicization that is currently happening. We have seen a legacy fight that is on. They're happy with the fact that the country is once again remembering the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. But for them, they do want to know that what exactly happened in those last days as well.
You are absolutely right. Everybody wants to know. There have been commissions of inquiry again and again. Nothing has happened. And nobody is trying to connect these celebrations or reliving the legacy of forgotten heroes of Bharat by to do anything with elections. This pettiness of looking everything through elections is the highest level of or lowest level of politicization of any debate, any discussion. And on Mr. Bhaumik, whom I agree with whatever I said, I would just, humbly disagree that China is a homogeneous country. China is not a homogeneous country. It is an accretion of 4 or 5 races which China has imposed its communist will to convert in a single civilization on which it has succeeded because of dictatorship, but not totally. There are different regions.
Are Han Chinese.
No, sir. That has been created. That has been created here in India.
Mamta Banerjee behaved like 93% are Han Chinese.
Sir, this is a good debate. We should not, overshout each other.
Chinese. Get your facts right.
Sir, we are not into China debate.
Sir, we'll come back to you. Let Ratan Sharda complete his point first, sir.
We are not in China debate, sir. I just made a point. You don't agree, it's fine with me. We agree on many other points. Let us carry it forward. See, the way we are doing everything, every national hero is reduced to a regional hero, to a caste hero, to a particular language hero. This is to stop. Sardar Patel did not belong to Gujarat, he belonged to the entire nation. Subhash Chandra Bose belonged to the entire nation. To link it to Bengali pride, etc., is reducing his personality. So to look at every hero, whether Shivaji or Vijayanagar Empire, etc., through the eyes of regionalism and linguistic is what we have to overcome. When Mamta behaves like she's a Jagirdar of Bengal, when Mamta Banerjee behaves like she's a Jagirdar of Bengal, or somebody sitting in Tamil Nadu behaves like a Jagirdar of Tamil Nadu, that has to stop. Just because a very powerful leader like Modi ji has come up, who is trying to relive legacies of all the regions, all the heroes of this country, we should not try cribbing. We should look at it in a broader picture. That's all I insist on. And yes, Bharat does not matter to a great hero like Netaji. If it happens, great. Doesn't happen, doesn't matter at all. Because he's there, despite all the pressure of Congress and the JNU colleagues to somewhat destroy legacy of Netaji, didn't happen. Because it lives as a folklore in the mind of the people, in the hearts of the people. So that is important. And his vision of a Bharat is important.
In fact, Ratan Sharda, we'll also take a quick question from Subir Bhaumik. Subir Bhaumik, one short question from you as well. What do you think and is the significance of Netaji at this juncture? And do you expect that this current government at the centre, or maybe in the state now, in a way might rewrite the history and want more classification of the classified files as well?
No, we want a complete new approach to the historiography of the Indian national movement so that everybody who fought for India's freedom, maybe their ways were different, are reflected and given their due place. And I agree with Ratan ji that Netaji belongs to the whole country. there is a basic difference between the inclusive Indian nationalism of Subhash Chandra Bose and the politics of Bengali separatism by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in a country like Pakistan where Bengalis were oppressed. That's not the case here. So Mujibur Rahman stood up and said Bangla has to be the language, and the fight started, and finally Pakistan broke up. So, we must understand that both are great Bengalis, but their legacies are different. Subhash Bose's legacy is the legacy of inclusive Indian nationalism, and he belongs to all of India. Even today, Ratanji, you will agree with me that somebody says, a rumor spreads that in Tamil Nadu, Subhash Bose jaisa koi aa gaya, people are going to run, thousands. Even now, somebody looking like Subhash Bose has turned up there, ye Baba, wo
Yes,
Baba, whatever,
right.
in UP. So, he belongs to the whole country. He excites the imagination
Right.
of the entire country. And therefore, to bracket him as a Bengali hero, this hero, or that hero is absolute nonsense. And actually, this is the contribution. If somebody is a proud Bengali like me, he must understand
Right.
that this is Bengal's contribution to modern India. The inclusive Indian nationalism, which starts with the rise of the Congress from Bengal. This is our contribution to the rest of the country. So, we can't sort of divide that damn legacy
Right.
and start doing, that this is a outsider, a bahari. This is all nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
See,
This is
first
not
of
in
all,
our
we
DNA.
must-
Koi bahari
All right, thanking both our guests for joining us here on Republic TV, Ratan Sharda, as well as our guest, Subir Bhaumik. Thank you so much.